Hi and Assalamualaikum everyone. This week we're gonna talk about extension of time. Extension of time will be presented by Muhammad Fazmi, Muhammad Shakir, and Muhammad Sikri. Extension of time is a delay which cannot be reasonably foreseen at the time of contract signing. The granting of extension of time relieves the contractor from liability of damages such as LED from the original date of contract completion. It was not a contractor fault, and it was situation cannot be avoided. Clauses also provide a mechanism for the completion date to be adjusted. Properly administered, the extension of time clause gives the contractor the peace of mind, knowing that he has more time to complete the work. This is the situation will happen during the construction site. We have a normal, delay, and EOT. Normal, PS, CPC, CMGT, and all as per contract. PS for position site, CPC for certificate of practical completion, and CMGT is certificate making goods defect. Delay and EOT is different. Is delay will get LAD and EOT contractor cannot be complete the work on the date completion but is granted EOT. Here we have two different situations stated in contract between PWD and PAM. PWD Form 203A Revision 1 2010. The contractor complete the whole of the work on or before the date for completion as stated in the appendix or such extended time as may be allowed under clauses 43.1. Under clause 39.1, the contractor is required to complete the work within the original contract period or if not, within the extended time granted to him. The contract permits the contract period to be extended beyond the original date of completion based on acceptable ground. Extension of time means the additional time granted to the contractor to complete the work beyond the original date for completion. This provision gives power to the SO to extend the contract period. The SO will substitute any reasonable completion date for the fixed date for completion stated in appendix. The contractor is entitled for extension of time if the work cannot be completed before or on the date of completion not due to his fault. Ground for extension of time. Under clause 43.1, main category as default for delay in completion. Default of contractor, default of employer or SO, default of neither parties. Extension of time can only be granted in respect of an event which is likely to delay completion or which had delayed the completion. The contractor claim for extension of time must be based solely on one or more of the following events. Here we have 10 types of reasons can be used by the contractor. First, majeure clause 43.1a. Circumstances that make the execution of work impossible. For example, war, insurrection, natural catastrophe, nuclear explosion, tsunami, riot, and etc. Some of these matters are provided for separately in the contract provision, so this clause is to cover matters of similar nature which are not dealt with somewhere else. Exceptionally, inclement weather clause 43.1b. The unpredictable event that occur during the normal season which affect the contract or progress of work. For example, extreme hot weather and very heavy rain. Contractor must support his claim with evidence. The contractor must show that the work project is actually or potentially to be delayed by such weather. For example, if work are carried out indoor, the bad weather at that time has no effect on the progress of the work. This is not a ground for an extension. Suspension of work clause 43.1c. The SO can at any time for whatever reason issue instruction to stop work. Example, financial difficulty faced by the employer due to certain global economic downturn. The contractor is entitled to extension of time if the contractor suffer delay in compliance to the instruction, provided the suspension is not due to the fault of the contractor. If the suspension exceeds 12 months, the employer and contract can mutually terminate the contract and suspend the work for further period. Direction regarding dispute with neighbor, clause 43(1)(d). Provide that the dispute is not due to the fault of the contractor. For example, instruction to stop the work due to complaint by neighbor about noise and pollution. The contractor is also entitled to claim for loss and expense due to delay. SO Instruction Clause 43(1)(e). Instructions are not issued due to the act, negligence, default, or breach of contract of the contractor or his subcontractor. For example, removing of material and work from site or permitting work for inspection. Contractor not receiving instruction on time. Clause 43(1)(f). The contractor does not receive instruction on time which resulting delay. It is due to the negligence or default of the SO. The contractor has applied for such information in writing. Neither are reasonably distant nor are possibly close. Delay in giving site possession. Clause 43(1)(g). The employer has the right to defer the site position. If the position date is deferred, completion date must automatically be extended proportionately. Delay by the contractor to obtain insurance and performance bond cause delay in position of site. This cannot be ground for extension of time as it considered as contractor fault. Delay in executing work by others. Clause 43(1)(h). The employer has the right to bring in other person to do work not forming part of the contract, and the contractor can claim for extension of time if the delay in carrying out the work by others in the same site disputing the progress of his work. Delay in securing material for the work. Clause 43(1)(i). Contractor cannot foresee the problem at the time of closing tender and it was beyond his control. For example, if the price of material has increased and the contractor is not willing to pay at the current price, and this has caused delay to the work and not a ground to claim for extension of time. And lastly, delay by NSC, nominated subcontractor, clause 43(1)(j). Delay by NSC and supplier due to the same ground for extension of time for the contractor, provided the cause are not due to the fault of the contractor or his subcontractor. NSC will be granted extension of time and automatically contractor will be given extension of time too. Next is registering claim or how to claim. Written application. The contractor is to initiate the extension of time process by giving written notice to the SO. The notice must be in writing but not necessary to be in any particular format. The notice must contain sufficient information to enable to the SO. For example, it must include the cause of delay by citing specific event, information to support claim, particular of likely effect, and estimate of length of delay. And second is timing of application. The notice must be given when it is apparent that the progress is delayed and must be before the completion date. Successive application must be made by the contractor in the event where the delay to the progress of work is continuously. Remember, contractor need to write all the reason and it is much before completion date of the project. This is the process example. Contractor need to claim for EOT and it must include cost of delay, estimate length of delay, and officer make a decision, which is yes and no. If yes, officer decision to estimate length of delay, officer to issue certificate of delay and EOT. If no, officer to reject contractor claim and contractor can contest officer decision through the arbitration. Certificate of delay and extension of time. under Clause 43.1 Responsibility of the SO. Decide of validity of claim, estimate length of delay, and issue certificate of delay and extension of time. If the SO decides to grant extension of time, he must inform the contractor in writing by issuing the certificate, delay, and extension of time. The certificate stated the length of the extension granted and the new completion date for the contract. If the SO decides to reject the contractor claim, this is also to be formed in the writing to the contractor. The contractor may challenge the SO by through the arbitration.
PAM Contract 2018. Based on PAM Contract 2018, two relevant contractual provisions regarding extension of time, which is first, Clause 2.0 Architect Instruction. Second is Clause 23.0 Extension of Time. PAM Contract 2018 has similar provision as PWD Form 203A. For registering claim, the contractor need to submit two written notice. Based on Clause 23.1A, the contractor shall give written notice to the architect his intention to claim for such extension of time, together with an entire estimate of the extension of time. He may require supported with all particulars of the cause of delay. Based on this clause, the contractor need to submit notice to initiate the process of extension of time. The content of the first notice is initial estimate of extension of time and particular of causes of delay. Based on clause 23.1a, such notice must be given within 28 days from the date of the AI, CAI, or the commencement of the relevant event, whichever is earlier. A condition precedent to all entitlement of extension of time. Based on this clause, the notice need to be submitted to the architect within 28 days. If the notice fails to submitted, extension of time cannot be granted. Based on clause 23.1b, within 28 days of the end of the cause of delay, the contractor shall send to the architect his final claim for extension of time, dutifully supported with all particulars. Based on this clause, contractor need to submit final claim for extension of time, the content of the claim, all the particulars of architect to access. The notice need to be submitted within 28 days of the end of the cause of delay. Based on clause 23.1b, if contractor fail to submit such particular within the start time or within such longer period as may be agreed in writing by the architect, it shall be done. Such relevant event will not delay to the completion of the work. If contractor not submit the required particular, it deemed that the relevant not the cause of delay. The contractor will not granted extension of time. Based on clause 23.3, particulars submitted by contractor are insufficient. The architect shall within 28 days inform him of any deficiency in submission and the contractor to provide such further particular within a further 28 days or within such period time. Based on this clause, if the information given is not sufficient, architect requests contractor provide further particular within 28 days after second notice. The contractor provide required particular within further 28 days or within time started by the architect.
My name is Muhammad Shakir Iman and I will continue to present about Certificate of Extension of Time in PAM 2018. In clause 23.4 stated that either reject the contractor's application or issue a certificate extension of time within 6 weeks from the receipt of the sufficient particulars, the architect may issue the written notice of rejection or the certificate of extension of time before or after the completion date. If the information given by the contractor is sufficient, architect need to consider contractor's application. Architect need to issue to the contractor within 6 weeks, may be before or after completion date, either notice of rejection or certificate of extension of time. The architect cannot fix the new completion date earlier than the date for completion stated in the appendix. The architect is required to notify the nominated subcontractors in writing of his decision when fixing a new date for completion. In clause 23.9 stated that where the relevant event occurs after the issuance of the certificate non-completion, the architect may grant an extension of time. In clause 22.3 stated that certificate of extension of time fixing a completion date which is later than the date stated in a certificate of non-completion previously issued, such certificate revoking the certificate of non-completion, the architect shall issue a further certificate of non-completion. The architect can still grant extension of time even after the issuance of the certificate of non-completion. The issuance of certificate of extension of time revokes the certificate of non-completion issued earlier if the completion date stated in the certificate of extension of time is later than that stated in the certificate of non-completion. If extension of the time is granted after the issuance of the certificate of non-completion, another certificate of non-completion could be issued. In clause 23.10 stated that the architect may but not obliged to within 12 weeks after the date of practical completion review and fix a completion date later than previously fixed. Architect may review and fix a new completion date later than previously fixed. It has been done within 12 weeks after practical completion if necessary. So we continue with the comparison. In ground of extension of time, in PWD, it stated that in clause 43.1, if in opinion of the said officer, the completion of works is likely to be delayed or has been delayed beyond the date for completion due to any or more of the following events: force majeure, exceptionally inclement weather, suspension of work, direction given by SO consequential upon dispute by neighboring owners, SO instruction, the contractor not having received in due time instruction in regard to the nomination of subcontractors, necessary instruction, delay in giving possession of site, delay on the part of artist executing work not forming part of this contract, the contractor's inability for reasons beyond his control to secure such good materials, delay on the part of the nominal subcontractors due to reason as stated above in subclasses A to I. In PAM Contract 2018, additional provision compared to the PWD Form 203A. Clause 23.8 clauses I, renomination of nominated subcontractor. Clause 23.8 subclause K, delay or failure in the supply of materials and goods which the employer had agreed to supply. In clause 23.8 subclause M, any act of prevention or breach of contract by the employer. Clause 23.8 N, war damage. Clause 23.8 Q, delay caused by any appropriate authority, and etc. Clause 23.8 T, delay as a result of execution of work for which a provisional quantity is included in the BQ, etc. Clause 23.8 subclause U, failure of the employer to give in due time entry to or exit from site. Clause 23.8 subclause Y, any other ground for extension of time expressly stated in the contract. For comparison for registering claims, for PW Form 203A, written application, in clause 43.1, stated that the contractor shall forthwith give written notice to the SO as the causes of delay and relevant information with the supporting documents enabling the said officer to form an opinion as to the cause and calculation of the length of delay. For timing application, clause 43.1 stated that upon it becoming reasonably apparent that the progress of work is delayed. In PAM Contract 2018, notice for extension of time, clause 23.1 subclauses A, the contractor shall give written notice to the architect his intention to claim for such extension of time together with an initial estimate of the extension of time he may require, supported with all particulars of the cause of delay. In clause 23.1 subclause A, such notice must be given within 28 days from the date of the ICAI or the commencement of the relevant event, whichever is earlier, a condition precedent to an entitlement of extension of time. For time submission of claim, clause 23.1 subclauses B stated that within 28 days of the end of the cause of delay, the contractor shall send to the architect his final claim for extension of time duly supported with all particulars. In clause 23.1 subclause B stated, if the contractor fails to submit such particulars within the stated time or within such longer period as may be agreed in writing by the architect, it shall be deemed such relevant will not delay the completion of the work. In clauses 23.3 stated, particulars submitted by contractor are insufficient, the architect shall within 28 days inform him of any deficiency in his submission and the contractor to provide such further particular within a further 28 days or within such a period of time. For certificate of extension of time, in PWD Form 203A, clause 43.1 stated that the SO may issue a certificate of delay and the extension of time, giving a fair reasonable extension of time for completion of the work. For PAM Contract 2018, Clause 23.4 stated that either reject the contractor's application or issue a certificate extension of time within 6 weeks from the receipt of the sufficient particular, the architect may issue the written notice of rejection or the certificate of extension of time before or after the completion date. Clause 23.9 stated that where the relevant event occurs after the issuance of the certificate of non-completion, the architect may grant an extension of time. In clause 22.3 stated that certificate of extension of time fixing a completion date which is later than the date stated in a certificate of non-completion previously issued shall certificate revoking the certificate of non-completion, the architect shall issue a further certificate of non-completion. For clause 23.1 stated the architect may but not obligate to within 12 weeks after the date of particular completion review and fix a completion date later than previously fixed. So that's all from us. Thank you.